Good evening. My name is Nathan Stix. I am the chair of the Community Activities Commission, calling to order the Newcastle Community Activities Commission meeting of April 9th, 2025. The time is 6 p.m. This public meeting is being recorded, broadcast live, and may be viewed later on the city's YouTube channel. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay. Amy, would you like to do the roll call? And we will note that Commissioners D'Souza and Lee are absent and are excused, and Commissioner Frostberg is in traffic and is running late.
With that said, Commissioner Van Atta.
Present.
Commissioner Kretzinger.
Present.
Vice Chair Flash.
I am here.
Chair Stix.
I am here too. Thank you. Okay. Agenda approval. So is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'd like to add an item to I move to amend the agenda to add an item as general business number 7.7. And that is to discuss a budgeted item in the Newcastle City budget for art installations.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Great. It has been moved and seconded to amend the agenda. Anybody have any questions, any further discussion? Great. Are all in favor of amending the agenda?
Aye.
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 Aye. Show it as approved.
Show it as amended. Now you have to approve the amended agenda.
Sorry, I'm supposed to read my script here. We've never done this before. Okay, so now that we have a vote, is there a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
I motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Now, show the agenda is amended and approved. Amy, any public comment? Okay. Commissioners' comments and celebrations. So I would like to start and let all of you know how much I missed our March meeting. We were enjoying time away down south, very south. But I did have a chance to watch the commission meeting, and I thought you guys served well, so thank you. Also a reminder, if you have not signed up for any of our event subcommittees, I think most of you have, please take a look, relook at that and sign up if you have not. And are there any other comments? Okay.
I will just say it's bear season, affirmed.
We saw your video on Facebook.
Yeah, we have had a lot of bear activity in our neighborhood. So put your bird feeders away, and your compost, and the garbage.
Okay, let's go into reports. Amy, you want to start with events and recreation reporting?
Certainly. On your desk tables, you can find a printed copy of the report. It's also in the packet. Highlights as far as events, Earth Month initiatives are underway. I'd like to make a plug for our Weed Warriors Ivy cleanup party on Saturday. Connor Refugio and I are staffing 2 hours of weed pulling outside the cemetery fence to clean up an area and beautify it for Earth Month. And just a reminder to folks that Spring Recycling Collection event is April 19th. Also on here is a save the date for the town hall meeting. That is a discussion item on your agenda for later. I'd also like to mention that summer sponsorship packets are out in print and also on our website. That is also on the agenda for discussion later. And then summer events are progressing, and they've even progressed since this report was included. It reads that 2 of the 4 bands have been booked, but we have booked all 4 bands. And for your information, Between Two Gregs is going to be opening on July 23rd, followed by Diamond Star Halo, which will be on July 30th. And then we have the Pioneer Squares returning on August 6th, and we have 2 Story Zori coming on August 13th. We are very excited, particularly for the last one. It's a little bit of a coup because they are quite well known in the region. So to have them play at Lake Bourne, have all these people play at Lake Bourne Park is amazing, but them in particular, we're excited to welcome them here and maybe do some sort of a themed evening. And so the subcommittees who are involved in the fireworks, concerts, and Newcastle Days, just be in the habit of checking your email regularly if you can. I may be reaching out to you to schedule a meeting, sending a little to-do thing or brainstorming exercise, or I might be soliciting some feedback. So just, get in the habit of checking once a week or something like that, because it's the easiest way for me to communicate with 3 commissioners at a time and have it all written down for public records. Any questions on the event side of things? Alrighty then. As far as programs, yes,
Who
go
did
ahead.
you secure for the 4th of July?
Mara and the Charm.
Oh,
We did.
great.
Yes.
Awesome.
So they are new to us this year. So I'm very excited. Their demos were great.
Yeah.
As far as programming is concerned, we have on the recreation side, Spring Skyhawks is starting next week, and we have released our summer camp schedule and have opened it up. I am extremely excited about the addition of our 4 weeks of non-Skyhawks camp. We're utilizing the Lake Bourne Park shelter near the tennis courts as an outdoor classroom, as you know. And we've added a week of art camp with AL Studio, 3 weeks of Challenge Island STEAM camp. All of these recreational programming you can find on our website under events and recreation programs. Or you can use the shortened link newcastlewa.gov/summer camp. And then finally, just a reminder, we do a once a month volunteer newsletter. So if any of your organizations have volunteer opportunities, send them my way. The next volunteer newsletter goes out next Friday. Any questions on our programming? Alrighty then, that's it from me.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, next reports. We'll start with Ed, Arts Council.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan. Okay, so we completed our youth art exhibition at the library. Another huge success. We had 33 artists, 22 schools were represented, and all grade levels, pre-kindergarten to 12th grade. We had about 350 entries or ballots that were submitted for our People's Choice Award. So we had great participation in that. I'd like to thank a couple of organizations for helping out with that. So Compass Art Studios, the Coleman, Frosty Barrel, Youth Theater Northwest, Friends of Newcastle Library, and DIYT Lab, and specifically, and I'm sure I missed 1 or 2, but I apologize for that. We've had some great programs at the library. I do want to highlight coming up, we've extended our film series for another 3 months. We have our annual rock painting event on June 7th at Lake Bourne Park. So that's always a big event. That happens in the morning in the picnic shelter next to the tennis courts. And then where you're looking forward to our summer art fair. That's going to be on July 19th. If anybody's interested in participating as a vendor, there's an application on our website. And we will be accepting applications through May 31st. And if anybody's interested in volunteering, we'd love to have volunteers for that event as well. And then on May 10th, we're actually holding a garage sale of art and art supplies. It's happening in the Milepost neighborhood on Saturday. So if you are interested in either purchasing something and supporting Newcastle Arts Council, because all the proceeds go to support the organization, or in donating stuff to sell at the garage sale, we would love to have you help out in that manner. And those are the main highlights. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Christian Historical Society and Chamber.
Hello. So, May 17th, the Historical Society will host a cemetery cleanup to prepare the cemetery for Memorial Day. These usually run from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And for people that may not be familiar with what that entails, it's foliage maintenance and removal, storm debris removal, and in this case, being sure all the signage is updated to reflect the upcoming Memorial Day event. As for the Chamber of Commerce, next Thursday from 11:30 to 1 at Tapatio, they will hold their monthly luncheon. The featured speaker this month will be Matt Larson of PSE, and he will be presenting on PSE's small and medium business programs and incentives. And then on April 30th, that's a Wednesday, from 6 to 8 p.m., the Chamber is hosting their annual Diamond Awards, which recognize outstanding people in our community who contribute to our community. So register ASAP and come enjoy a lovely evening where we get to celebrate the members of our community.
I just bought my tickets.
Me too.
May 3.
Thank you, Christian. In Allison's absence, she asked me to share that the Newcastle Trails annual meeting is coming up on Tuesday, April 22nd. It'll be at Newport Hills Community Church. 6:30 to 7 is a social hour, and then from 7 to 8 or 8:30 is the actual meeting. Connie, what's going on at the library?
Yeah, my update this month is from the Friends of the Newcastle Library. So they just had their annual book sale. It was March 27th through the 29th, which was quite successful. They raised over $2,500 for events at both the library and for Friends of Newcastle Library for the coming year. So yeah, awesome.
Okay. In Shally's absence, I reached out to the YMCA, but I did not hear back before the meeting, so.
You can mention Healthy Kids Day is coming up on Saturday, April 26th. I don't know the hours offhand. I imagine Newcastle Arts Council is tabling City of Newcastle Stormwater Surface Water Management Department Division is also tabling to talk about Adopt a Drain and other water management programs.
Okay. Brendan, second quarter presentation for Parks and Trails.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I feel like I was just here doing Q1. It's hard to believe we're already Q2 here. Yeah, tonight I'm going to be running through the Q2 updates and then a handful of things after that. You'll notice that my slides, instead of having 3 different slide decks, I just made one rolling slide. So without further ado, I'll jump right in. Let me turn on the TV screen here. You guys see it okay? Perfect. All right. All right. So Q2 Parks and Trails update. Just going to run through our major capital projects that we got going on. So P29, also known as the Hazelwood Boardwalk design. We've received the 30 and 90% design already. I just got the 90% today, so we're going to be reviewing that and providing comments back to KPFF, who's our designer, early to mid next week. So we're doing great on that, on track for a late June or early July construction start on that Hazelwood project. So really exciting to get that one rolling and seeing the design come together there. P12, the cemetery fence replacement. ongoing submittal process right now. We're working with the contractor on getting the last of their submittals in, so we can get that fence wrapped up here as soon as possible. P5, the
Brandon, I have a quick question. So
Yep.
the cemetery fence replacement, does that also include an ADA ramp or some access for less abled people?
It does, yeah. On the southeast side, there's going to be a pedestrian gate being put in with an ADA ramp or trail, really, leading up to that gate.
So Brennan, I have a question too.
Yeah.
When you mean 30% and 90%, is that 90% of the cost, 30% of the cost?
Great question. No, it's 30% of the design. So only it's really like it's 30% of the design. So we had them do 30% so we can catch any upfront, make sure they're on the right track with everything. So they submit their 30% design, we review, make sure, yep, we want that type of style, those, that anchoring system looks right. Just generally everything's looking right at the 30%. Oftentimes there'll even be a 60%, but with this project, we scoped it just so it only need 30 and 90. And then the final 10% is really just kind of like last bits and pieces for the construction drawings. But it's really just design. So now this next step is, we've increased it 60% to the 90%. So we're going to be looking at a lot bit more fleshed out drawings, really close to what the final design will look like. So I haven't had a chance to, I quickly browsed them today, but I haven't had a chance to dive in, but it should be really, really good.
And is the plan to have that project done this year?
Yep, construction starting late June, early July is what we're aiming for right now. Yep, and it, without getting an actual schedule from a contractor, I'm just kind of spitballing a couple months to get that completed, maybe 3 months. So. All right, and then P5 is trail development. This is for the terrace trail repairs. We have our preliminary design and scope complete. The invitation to bid will be going out next week. P4, general park improvements. You'll see we have 2 P4s here. So the first P4 is for the tennis court resurfacing. I've been working on putting that together. That invitation to bid will be in 2 weeks. That's going to be resurfacing the existing Boren Park or Lake Boren Park tennis court and adding pickleball lines for 4 pickleball courts as well, overlaid with the second tennis court. So there's the flexibility of still having the 2 tennis courts or 1 tennis court being 4 pickleball courts, if that makes sense. So that's an exciting one that'll be kicking off here. We've timed it so we're expecting it to not impact any Skyhawks tennis camps, and we'll be ready to enjoy it this summer. Lastly, P4, general park improvements. The dog park design. So we'll be launching that request for qualifications in May. So that's going to be for the design. So construction wouldn't be until next year. But when we put out this request for qualifications, we'll be hearing from designers who have experience and just kind of vetting different designers on what their qualifications are for dog parks. Yep.
Do we have a location?
We do. The location right now is where the boardwalk comes down, the new boardwalk, just south of there. So there's that green kind of knoll patch up there above that little wall. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, you're Lake Boren Park.
At Lake Boren
Okay.
Park. Yep, I'm sorry. Yeah, at Lake Boren. Yep. Lake Boren. So just south of where that the boardwalk kind of starts there. Pretty centralized into the park.
So towards the lake dock, that area?
No, it'll be further south from that. Let's see. Do I have any?
Behind the tennis courts?
Behind the tennis courts, exactly.
If you are
In the wooded area.
facing the beginning of the boardwalk, but coming from inside the park, right after you start walking on the boardwalk, it's to your right.
Yep.
The way he's talking about. There's like it's elevated a little, surrounded by trees, and it's just a flat green patch. So,
Which is directly behind the tennis courts. Yeah,
that
okay.
sounds right.
Right?
So it'll encompass that area back in there. Yep. I have a map. I can point it out later here once we get to those slides. So yeah, that's actually it for the Q2 Parks and Trails update. Is there any questions? Alrighty. Seeing none, I'll move on here. I'm going to give you guys an update on the Green Castle development and some of the input I've been hearing from the community so far. So just to preface this, I guess my intent is to inform you all about what the ongoing development and proposed trail additions are, and provide any context and key feedback received from Newcastle Trails and during the open house last month. And then accept any thoughts or feedback from you all on whether these proposed routes and trail connections align with community needs. So quick background on the Green Castle development. Without getting too in the weeds, community development will have the real lowdown on all of this, but a quick overview of it is just to get your bearings here. Can you see my, no, you can't see my cursor. So it's located along 144th, which is east of the Highlands neighborhood. So what you're looking at in this photo is the eastern portion of the Highlands neighborhood. And then you'll see that strip of green belt just further east. And then 144th continues down. And then on the east side of 144th, that's where Green Castle is being developed there, or planned to be developed. The project scope is a planned unit development, or PUD, that entails 34 lots of single-family subdivision on approximately 33 acres. You'll notice that the homes are pretty darn clustered there. For consisting of 55 parcels and on 33 acres, the reason that they're clustered is to preserve space and minimize development impacts on critical areas, because they could have extended out or really sprawled a lot more than what they've ended up with in their design here. The current status is the developer has received their first review comments from staff and peer reviews. Next steps is the developer is revising their submittal based on comments and code corrections, and will resubmit for a second review. They were at the public meeting last month as well, the developers, so they received comments then as well. And this will typically take 3 to 4 review cycles.
Is the review cycle, is there like a time? Like, is that like 3 to 4 quarters, or like?
I don't know exactly how
Varies too
long.
much?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how long, but well, let's see. April 2025 to November 2025 is design revisions and resubmittal with 3 to 4 reviews. So yeah, pretty close to what you said there. And then let's see, in December 2025, public hearing examiner, this is the rough schedule right now. February 2026 will be going to City Council. May 2026 to 2027 will be an engineering review, permits and infrastructure and construction review. And then 2027 would be a final plat, final PUD recordation. And then late 2027 to 2028 would be building construction. So, we're talking pretty early right now in the stages of this. So I'm sure you all will hear a lot more about this as we proceed. But this was a big push from staff on this project and the developer to really put the word out early here so we can get feedback and just get people in the know. So that's the background. For the most part, what I'll be asking and want to update you guys on is the trails portion. There is a a couple, I believe 1 or 2 parks that are going to be going in, but we don't have too many details on the parks yet. So tonight we'll just be focusing primarily on the trails and the trail feedback that I've heard so far. The one key feature of this development is it proposes new trail connections that could link our existing network. And we're working to ensure the development preserves open space and enhance, not disrupts trail usage. I'll explain, I know you're seeing a lot of lines here, so I'll help clarify some of those. And we have a couple other images we can take a look at as well that hopefully make everything clear here as well. And then the trail recommendations that you're seeing are based on topography. The topography in this area is pretty darn steep, so we can't just put a trail straight up Cougar Mountain. You have to try and follow the contours there to keep it at a suitable grade for people to walk on. And then there's also some existing roughed-in trails that are in there, whether are just historical roughed-in trails. So, they could be animal trails. You hear of I've heard someone talk about an old road that was back in this area. So there's a handful of kind of already forged trails in there that some of the recommendations are being based off of as well. And then also the desire to provide new loops or enjoyable loops for anyone to take while out there, and then also provide access. The really cool thing about the location of this development is that it abuts Cougar Mountain Park and is pretty darn close, is adjacent to a handful of really well-established trails. The Highlands Trail, which you can see on the left side of the screen in the dark green. So the Highlands Trail is a trail that loops all the way, for anyone that's not familiar, does a large trail around the Highlands neighborhood, large loop around the Highlands neighborhood. What you're looking at is the far east side of it, a really heavily wooded portion of the trail.
Is the yellow the terrace trail? I'm still kind of orienting myself there.
Yeah, let me help you. Exactly.
And then the dotted line, the road that would be south, that's the road that you see there. Is that May Creek or May Valley Road?
No,
Where
so
does that connect to?
the black dotted line is 144th. The very south road you see next to that 320. You see that at the bottom?
Yep, that's the one I was looking at.
Yeah, that's gosh, maybe that is May Valley Road. It is May Valley Road.
It's May Valley?
I'm sorry, I was thinking
Okay,
of
just checking.
Yep.
So it connects to May Valley, and then I assume connects down to Thomas Rouse. Will connect.
Right, so the black dotted line is, the road actually does not go down currently. It
Yeah.
stops where it intersects with that green.
Yep.
Yep, okay, so you're familiar. Yeah, there's a right-of-way there. So this markup was done by Newcastle Trails, who's provided a lot of feedback on this already. And so, yeah, I'll just continue going through it since we're already talking about it. The dark green, again, is the Highlands Trail. Spot on, the black dotted line is connecting to May Valley Road there, and also known as 144th. The purple lines are access trails that the developer had already, for the most part, included in their initial drawings. So they've claimed that part of their intent in developing in this way is to provide a lot of trails. They've noticed, the gem of property that they have and the accessibility to existing trails in Cougar Mountain, and wanted to incorporate trails in. So the purple trails are what they already had in. We're counting them as access trails now, as they provide access to the Highlands Trail, the Terrace Trail, and then what you're seeing, so the Terrace Trail was that yellow line there, and then that green dashed line is a proposed Cougar Mountain access trail. So with that said, Newcastle Trails feedback has been, one, they want to maintain existing Highlands Trail connection at 93rd. So At the very southern portion, you see that large circle that they have included there that says the vital route for cars and fire trucks. That is where 93rd intersects the 144th route, or 144th there. And so the Highlands Trail intersects there as well. And they just want to ensure that the Highlands Trail is maintained in that area, because if there's a connection made from 93rd onto 144th there, they just want to preserve the Highlands Trail at that location. Next would be renaming the Cougar Access Trail to Cougar Trail, which is possible. Start Cougar Trail, Access Trail at the Terrace Trail. So again, that lime green dashed proposed trail there would be the Cougar Access Trail, and they want to have it intersect as seen here with the yellow Terrace Trail there. And lastly, making sure that Cougar Trail access is preserved from the new Greencastle trails. So again, there's a handful of options to get there. There, where you see the number 4, that would be the northern park that the developer has planned. And so they would, you could connect a trail there. We've already passed this information on to the developer, and they've really have had no pushback at all. They're on board for trying to, whoa, my slides just went crazy. They're on board for, including as many trails as possible. And, we haven't felt any resistance. So obviously keeping things realistic, again, because of topography and whatnot. So and then one last comment before we get to another slide here that could help show the trails. We also received one comment on trails that I noted from the outreach meeting last month. And it was on 144th. The northern section of 144th is frequent walking route that provides access to Altera Trail, Terrace Trail, and Highlands Trail currently. And there's just general concern about construction and future traffic along 144th, with it being practically used as a trail now for walkers in that area. So something to consider, and I can highlight where that is a little bit more in a minute here.
So is access to the development going to be on 144th and from the Highlands, or just 144th?
That's something they're working through right now. They're doing some traffic studies to figure out where they want that to be. Are you talking construction, like haul routes, or just future development traffic
Both.
access? Okay. Yeah, right now they're proposing haul routes, if I remember correctly, 93rd, and you know what, I don't want, this was a pretty hot topic during the outreach meeting last month, and I don't want to misspeak, but I believe it was 93rd, and what's the other road up there? 87th. I'm sorry, not 87th. I don't know exactly on the other one. Maybe it was up 144th, but 93rd for sure right now. So just another perspective of the trails. You can see at the top, just running through it again, you know, Terrace Trail access could be provided. And again, these have all been passed on to the developer with, you know, their open arms that we're expecting in their next design to include some of, if not all of these trails. So the Terrace Trail access at the north there by the northern public park, which the northern park, which I've shaded in green, that would connect just to the Terrace Trail, and then the Terrace Trail would have another access to the Cougar Mountain Access Trail there, which is the longer red going west to east. And then one more trail connecting to the existing planned trails that the developer has in there, with the Terrace Trail loop access trail just to get up to the Cougar Mountain Access Trail. And then lastly, one more access trail on the very south end where you're seeing the Tract B, which would allow residents there and anyone on the Highlands to be able to get up and do a little bit more of a loop and over to the Highlands Trail as well. You'll see a note at the bottom. It is a little bit hard to read, but it says maintain existing Highlands Trail, need to find potential route options. So as you can see, part of the plan is to connect 144th onto 93rd Street there, Southeast 93rd. With that again is intersecting the Highlands Trail. So we just need to, that note was sent to the developer to say we want to maintain this trail access and to please find a way to do that. And then one last slide here on this note before, if you guys have any questions here. This is just a little overview to give us an idea of kind of the connectivity and the existing connectivity. This is where you're seeing that green dashed or dotted line is the proposed Cougar Access Trail. And that's that intersects a couple of the parcels that we're talking about right now. So you can see the Greencastle parcels would be close to 144th and the Terrace Trail. This is really just to provide a larger overview. You can see the large Highlands Trail inner workings. So yeah, Greencastle, it's a really great opportunity to provide more trail access, both to Cougar Mountain and the Terrace Trail. So any questions, comments, thoughts? There's going to be, like I said, this is early on. There will be more revisions from the developer, more input from us. Like I said, the Newcastle Trails has been all over this, so they've provided a lot of really great feedback. I've been out there traipsing around on the hillsides and flagging locations and whatnot. So they're pretty on top of it right now. We're getting a lot of good feedback. Again, the developer has been pretty much open to everything that we've recommended so far. So, but if you don't have anything now, just keep it in the back of your mind. Maybe go for a hike on the Terrace Trail or on the Highlands Trail and, see if anything comes up, and feel free to reach out to me anytime.
Just want to say thank you for presenting that to us, and if you need anything from us, please make sure, and if Newcastle Trails needs anything from us, filter it through you and then bring it to us.
Perfect. Okay. All right, thanks a lot. And then lastly here, looking for some input from you all on bench donations. I've been fielding a lot of requests. I think I probably have 4 requests for bench donations right now from folks. And I'm sure I'm going to be getting some more here soon as the weather gets nicer and people are out enjoying the parks and looking for a place to sit down. Let me back up. Right now, the bench donation policy is a little bit outdated and requires a paper form that you have to submit by hand to us at City Hall here. So to try and, I guess, bring it up to speed a little bit more, I'm proposing a few things, and one being using a online form versus a in-person paper form. We can still have the paper. Some people still love paper. That's still a great option if they'd like to do that. But just for accessibility, I think it'll be helpful as well to do it online. But with that said, as you see on your screen, the red dots on Lake Bourne there are the proposed bench locations. The brown dots are going to be the existing bench locations. The plan would be to have a map similar to this where any of the proposed bench locations will have a number associated with it. So if someone wants to make a donation, they can look at what's available, 1 through 12 here, and say, oh, I love the location of number 3. I want to, put in my donation request for bench location number 3. They fill in their information, they select if they want to add a plaque, what the plaque would say. And then, we could either get that in paper or online. So that's kind of the broad strokes of the location or the direction I plan on going with it right now. What I'm going to ask next from you guys is just kind of, show you what we're looking at with the benches. But just want to pause for a second and get any feedback on that, whether anything's jumping out to you right now of a great spot for a location of a new bench that we can add to the list here, or anything else with the new process.
One of the areas that seems like it's just screaming for a bench or a picnic table or something is the area, and I hope this isn't going to be impeded by the dog park, the area that, like, it's almost like a little cathedral, right? Right before you get on the boardwalk and there's the grass there and it's raised. Like that spot just, it's a perfect picnic spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Quiet spot or whatever. And looking at this map, I don't see that reflected there, but
You're right. And this was the map I was going to point out where the dog park would be. I guess if you look at where it says 134th there,
yeah.
a little bit west and north of that would be the location of the dog park, and further north of that is so this image is old. It appears that it's from before the boardwalk was put in there. So the boardwalk is just on the south end of Lake Boren there. But I know exactly where you're talking about, and I agree. Yeah, that's a great spot. So we could try and highlight a location in there.
So I thought I saw in the original Lake Bourne
Master plan. Mm-hmm.
literally the dog park was right behind the tennis courts. What you're describing makes it sound like it's more north of that 134th, what used to be 134th court, right?
Yeah.
Which is a lot more north than behind the tennis courts. So has that been adjusted from the original plan?
I mean, it's in that vicinity. We don't have it exactly surveyed out yet or anything, but in that, grassy, or in that patch, it's not directly behind the tennis courts, like on that grass right there. It would be a little bit further east of that.
Like maybe where the volleyball courts are?
Yeah, east, yeah, closer
Okay.
to those than the tennis court.
But in where the trees currently are?
Yep, roughly. Mm-hmm.
I walked through those trails not long ago with Public Works, and there's actually a lot of space back there.
It is. My primary concern is the smell. And I own and love my dog. And I use the park often. And I'm really concerned about that for Lake Bourne Park.
And all of that will also be fleshed out in the design as well, like the precise location. That's why I'm, don't know exactly where. And also the master plan was a rough area. It also includes 2 potential locations. So part of the design will also include, an exact location. That'll be part of their scope, will be to get out there and find a good location in that vicinity.
The feedback that I've heard from various folks about benches at the park is to place them strategically where people walk the most. And so if people want to stroll a little bit and then take a break, they have a place to sit. So in looking at this, if there are other locations around kind of the loop, just south of the lake, I think is where a lot of people end up walking. That would be, or around the loop around the the field where the play area is, which it seems like there's quite a few there, but right along the pathways, so people have a chance to take a break for walking.
So when we talk about people donating, are they physically paying for the bench?
Yes,
And they can also honor somebody if they want to with a plaque,
correct.
but not, they don't have to. They could just donate a bench and,
Yeah.
okay.
Is Lake Bourne Park the only park where we would have this available as an option if there was an online form?
No, we'll expand it. It's just right now focusing on Lake Barn Park.
The ones that are along Cold Creek Parkway, would those be oriented closer to the Esplanade or closer to the like proposed lower route, closer to the lake?
I believe the northern ones there are going to be along the Esplanade, so probably those northern two. The two south of that are going to be kind of that lower section.
In the
we're
lower
talking
section.
about. Yep. And those actually sprang up from someone who said that they walk in that area frequently and need a bench. So it was a great highlight of, how, like looking at the inventory here, you can, get a good idea for how few benches, or how, we need to catch up on some benches, so, yeah. Any other comments? All right. All right, so right now, the existing benches, you'll see two that I found out at Lake Bourne currently. So there's the green metal seen on the left there, which is, these are both donations. You can see the plaque in the middle of the green one there, and then the very minor, maybe missing plaque on the right there in the center of that wooden one. But kind of general takeaways with these are green metal is durable, but gets hot in the sun, if it's not in a shaded area like this one. And then the wooded one, less durable, but is going to remain cool and can have some nice features when the wood's not getting old like this one. So I've gone out and gotten a handful of quotes on a few representative benches here. These aren't the ones we have to go with, but just kind of a starting place for three options here. So option one, called the Northgate, is metal, similar to the existing green that is out there. Cost would be approximately $1,658 per bench. So that includes bench, plaque, mounting hardware, future maintenance, building materials, and then labor. So pros with that: it's lower cost, going to be weather resistant, durable. Cons is that it's kind of a basic aesthetic, and again, it gets hot in the sun. Also, this is on the cheaper end, so it comes with the maybe cheaper materials there. Option two is bench 88. So this is a recycled plastic bench. It has the wood look, but is made out of recycled plastic. Cost is about $1,870 per bench. Again, factoring in everything I mentioned earlier. Pros is that it's going to be durable. It has, an attractive design. Looks like wood. At cons is a little bit higher cost, and also I think maybe a downside of the plastic material is just not for everyone. It looks like fake wood. And then the last one here is kind of the premium option, if you will. The Gretchen 50 is the high end, made of real wood with a steel frame. Cost is $3,400 per bench. Pros is that it's going to have a long lifespan. It's got the premium look. And then the cons are going to be higher initial cost and and so then for reference, Bellevue's bench donation, just to help put this in some better terms here, is per bench they have all wooden with a plaque bench. It's like a finished all wooden bench. That's $4,750. So that's where we're at right now. That's just kind of give you a feel of how much it could cost for each of these different styles or types. So, you're looking at anywhere from, close to $1,500 on the lower end, and then up to, like I said, Bellevue's pretty darn close to 5,000. And in talking to other people, I've heard that they've offered benches at 5,000 and people have bought them. So, it's also worth considering if it's priced too low, there might be a flood of donations and we're backlogged having to find places for more benches, or have to install, 12 benches all at once. So something to consider as well. And then one other consideration that someone actually mentioned to me today was that you probably want a straight back on some of the benches. If it's a rounded back, it can be a lot harder to mount the plaque to it. So I noticed that after the fact that I had the Gretchen 50 there with a rounded back, but they have alternatives as well that you can get with a straight back. So with all of that said, just curious to get your general thoughts, any input on material, aesthetic, style, anything?
Yeah, is the goal to have just one type? And so if somebody wants to do this, they don't have an option, it's like, this is the bench that,
Yes.
okay.
We're trying to make it as streamlined as possible. You select your number. Let's say you select your park. You select your number, bench number in that park. And these will all be drop downs, that they can select in the online form. And then you just know what you're getting. You're donating this one type of bench.
Got it.
But wait, I'm trying to make sure I understand. Your question was, is it the exact same, like we say, everybody gets the north gate? Or do individuals have this, like it's like buying a casket, for lack of a better way to say it, right? That you can choose.
No options.
No
There's-
options.
There's one.
The city would choose the type of bench that we will have.
Yep.
Got it.
How many different styles are in Lake Bourne Park right now?
Two that I believe is only two. Not including the new one on the boardwalk under the cover there.
Personally, I would strike this plastic bench. Costs more money than the metal bench, and it's gross.
I also agree with you on the price point. I think the $1,700 is a little bit more attainable price point, which is going to draw more people to have them. And so I think that's going to create a backlog very quickly. And all of these will get filled up. I personally like the aesthetics of something like the Gretchen.
I agree with that.
Yeah, the Gretchen is my favorite. Although I can see the value in a Trex or Polywood type material for longevity. But I like the aesthetics of the Gretchen.
So we installed 5 north gates on the Olympus Trail, and I found that that's more appropriate for a trail setting, but as we're talking about a park, with the aesthetics of a park and maintaining the integrity of the park, I think having a bench, a standard bench that's better quality, long-lasting, but maybe without the rounded back.
But thinking forward, obviously the wood doesn't last forever. So what happens when maintenance is required for the benches? Is that the city's responsibility? Is that the donor's responsibility?
That'll be city responsibility, and that's part of what we tried to bake into the future labor costs.
Okay.
Yep.
To that end, do the future labor costs consider like future pricing for like inflation and such?
No.
Okay.
Not currently.
So, again, to that end, then I personally would lean more towards a higher end bench because wood can last a long time if it's properly cared for, especially. But then I would charge $5,000, like particularly given that if inflationary issues for particularly the labor to take care of it haven't been priced in, and also where does the bench come from or the components of the bench? Because I think as of right now, at least, we know that that's going to drive up the cost. And there's no way you would have been able to price that in at this point because for obvious reasons, this is all new information. But I would hedge my bets and make that price point higher for those reasons. That's my opinion.
Okay. Great, yeah. It's great to know. I also thought about trails too. It's probably worth doing something similar to this as well with trails. So it's nice to know that the north gates were, already installed on the Olympus. I'll have to check those out. But that's a great point. I appreciate all your guys' feedback. It sounds like a consensus of maybe the more expensive, higher priced premium option, if you will. So I'll take another look, see what other options are out there, kind of on that higher price side with not a round back, and see. One question that you guys made me think of was how is the wood treated for longevity? So I'll do a little bit more research there, but this really helped guide my direction should go with this. So appreciate it. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Brendan. Anybody have any more questions? Okay.
I have one. So when we get this plan more fleshed out, then that will be the time that we will talk about like how we're going to the communication strategy to people about how to sponsor a bench. I just want to know, when does that conversation come into play?
Yeah, I mean, we could, next quarter I could come back. We could discuss the communication side of it and how we want to launch it on that end. Did you have something in mind?
I was just thinking those signs, like campaign style signs, but like with a QR code on them that you could stake in different places and then say like, do you wish there was a bench here? Sponsor one. And then the QR code and people could, and then it would take them to a page that then they could get the more details of what that entails and decide if they want to plunk down $5,000 and put their name on a bench.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I'll make a note. I think that's a fun idea.
Are you considering options at all for things like picnic tables or other amenities?
Yeah, there's a couple other amenities, like some being trees as well. People actually often want to donate trees. So finding, same process. It would be just finding what type of trees we want to put in, because we don't want a zoo of trees out there. And we also have to be very particular with the location. And then I think picnic tables is a great idea too. We can explore that. There's a lot of open spaces in Boren for that. So. Okay.
Does the cost include the concrete slab?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's under the building materials.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, thank you all.
I'm gonna throw a curve at you here.
Okay.
So the other question I have in the back of my mind is Lake Bourne Park's amphitheater. When will we start having those discussions as far as that project? You know where that fits into the timeline?
Without having it in front of me, I don't.
That's why I say I'm throwing you a curve, so you don't need an answer right now.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to just throw something out there. I know it's on the books, but I just don't know. I just don't recall right now.
Okay, because I've had several discussions, both with residents, Public Works, some commissioners, about an amphitheater or rebuilding our current stage, some different options there, and would love to have some time to discuss it at a future meeting.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Brendan.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is Ed updating us on the summer sponsorships.
Yes, so we are super excited about this. So let me just explain the process that has happened so far and where we're headed. Events coordinator George took the list from last year and evaluated that and our existing business base within Newcastle and sent out letters to local businesses and folks that had contributed last year or had signed on for sponsorships last year. So that went out a week ago. And then Commissioner Kretzinger and Chair Sticks and myself met after that and split up the list in terms of businesses and organizations within the confines of Newcastle and the surrounding area that either contributed in the past or again are part of Newcastle, and we're going to be approaching those businesses and organizations about sponsorships for this coming summer events. And as a reminder, it's the 4 concerts, the 4th of July or Independence Day celebration, and Newcastle Days. Newcastle Days includes both the car show and the general Newcastle Days, so we're looking for sponsorships for both of those. The sponsorship levels are at the gold, platinum, and bronze, and there's a platinum level as well. And so, again, we're going to be reaching out to local businesses. We already have a few businesses and organizations that have signed on. So thank you to those that have committed already to this year. We are asking if anybody is interested and they want to sign on as a sponsor to reach out to Amy. And as well, if there's any names of folks that we should be approaching from our commissioners, please let us know so we can make sure to reach out to those folks. And I'm going to ask if Chair Sticks and Chair Kretzinger have anything to add.
So I just handed Connie the packet that we're going to be handing out to the sponsors. One thing I want to call out is on the back that Connie's looking at right now is something new. Amy came up with this idea after discussions with us, I believe. They're add-ons. So basically letting a sponsor know, hey, if you would like to specifically be the focus at a concert, and we'll be talking about you, and you could be up there presenting the band, and you could be up there talking about other, if maybe they want to do a raffle and have some fun things happening at those events. So making it specific to their business being at that event. So really fun additional things to make it more important to them to be a part of it. So so far, I mean, we've each met with maybe 2 or 3 sponsors, and the feedback has been very positive. So we're encouraged. I mean, even given the state of the union of the nation right now, and businesses wondering, what it's going to be like, they're all they know they're going to have a dedicated audience in the park for a period of time, and that can really help to promote their business. So we're very encouraged. Thank you.
Just to add to that, we, in just the couple days that this has all gone live in public and started to be heavily promoted, we have the $15,000 that is committed from Waste Management, so that's there. But in total, we have about $24,000 already committed, including the $15,000 from Waste Management. So that's quite a lot in the first couple days. So we're very excited and optimistic that we will reach and exceed our budget. In addition to the add-ons, one thing to highlight if you are having conversations is that new this year is that we're offering more opportunities for people to have space at our events. So not just Newcastle Days, but if you are a platinum sponsor, you can have a space at any of our events. If you're a gold sponsor, you can have a space at all of our concerts in Newcastle Days. If you're silver, you can have one of our concerts in Newcastle Days. And then if you're bronze, you get Newcastle Days. So there are more opportunities than ever to get that face time with those audiences.
And one of the things that we're going to be promoting when we're out is if businesses feel like they just can't contribute money, there might be other ways that we can help promote their business, whether it be, gift cards or coupons or some other ways to promote getting people into their businesses. So we're going to be looking at that as well. Okay, thank you, Ed. Next thing is the town hall meeting. So if you don't already have it on your calendar and you can attend, it's on Wednesday, May the 7th. Amy has asked if the CAC would like to have a table. I think yes, we would. I will man the table. I would like to ask if there are any other commissioners that would like to be at the table with me. I would assume if the meeting starts at 7, we'd set up around 6.
The meeting starts at 6.
Oh, it starts at 6?
It's 6 to 8.
Oh,
Doors will open to the public at 5:30, so setup you would want to do,
oh, okay.
I would say any time after 5. Council decided they would prefer to start earlier.
Oh, okay.
Is it at Risden again?
It is at Risden,
Okay.
yep. The other thing I need to know, Chair Sticks, is what materials the commission would like to see on the table.
I think the summer event schedule is always popular.
A volunteer sign up?
Volunteer sign up.
Newsletter sign up.
We should have a few of the business sponsorship packets on hand. Not too many, but a few.
And Nathan, I can come
Oh, that'd be delightful.
help.
Thank you. Maybe some freebies, if there's anything. Handouts, candy.
So we do have the pins, which is about all that we have right now.
Yeah, pins would be good.
And I doubt we'll put that at the city table, since the city table will need to be focused on the meeting materials and such.
Do we still have the sign that we had at Newcastle Days that says, "Would you like to volunteer?" That was the big. It was on I think it was laminated, maybe in a sign holder. Do we still have that?
Like a magazine holder or
Just something makes it really stand out that says, "Would you like to volunteer?" Makes it easier to see it than it's something just lying flat on the table. Or even a sign that just goes in a sign holder. Would be great. Okay. And second to last but not least, Amy, Parks Overview Part 2.
Could you pull up my presentation? It's under my folder. Thank you. So I do apologize to those viewing public who were watching last month and did not actually see the presentation projected. It was in the packet. However, I was working 2 computers at once and I had forgot to bring it over so that you could see it on YouTube. So my apologies and thank you for your patience with that. As requested by the commission earlier this year, we're doing Parks Overview sort of a little bit at a time in chunks to give you a sense of the different assets that we have throughout the community. But also at the end of last meeting, there was some discussion about ways that the commission could highlight and spotlight the amenities that we have in the park. And I will say that the popsicles in the park idea is well received. It is in budget, so if that is something the commissioners would like to organize, the staff can support. But it would have to be a commission organized, coordinated, staffed thing. But there is, people like it. Alrighty. Next up, I'm like trying to move it on my screen. All right, just a reminder, it's so funny that it keeps doing that when it goes on the screen, City of Newcastle Park System. I promise you it doesn't look like that. Just a reminder, we have nearly 40 acres of developed parks across the city. They offer both active and passive recreational elements. In addition to Lake Bourne Park, there are 17 mini and neighborhood parks and natural spaces, and 2 more are in development, Hillside and Newcastle Historic. Next. This evening, we are going to focus on the south end of the city. We're going to look at Heritage Morgan, Highlands Park, Highlands Forest View Park, and May Creek Park. First up is Heritage Morgan. It is a mini park with 0.16 acres, located at the intersection of 138th and 139th. The amenities which you'll see in the following slide include a taught play structure, a regular play structure, swings, and benches. And as you can also see, there's landscaped space with a paved walkway and some stairs. And there's your taught structure and your big play structure and some landscape spaces. Highlands Park is a larger park. It's a neighborhood park with just over 1.5 acres, located at 9100 140th Ave Southeast. This one has quite a few amenities. There are parking spaces, which is a rarity in many of our parks. A basketball court, swings, picnic tables, benches, a grill, water fountain, and gazebo. And I believe all of our gazebos, or most of our gazebos, have electricity available to them. Highlands Park also has landscape spaces, open space walking paths, and was featured in Pumpkins in the Park in both 2023 and 2024. And so next up are some close-ups.
Hey, can I ask a question about the,
Sure.
what are the use, ooh, I like that bench, by the way. What are the use requirements for the gazebos? If you're saying they have power, what if somebody wanted to do something at the gazebo that had power? Is there a reservation? Are there any limitations?
So at present, the council has not passed any sort of facility use for any of the parks. There is no special event permitting. There is no reservation policy in place similar to the 2 Lake Bourne Park shelters. All right, Highlands Forest View Park is definitely a mini park. It's that circle there with the extra landscape spaces with just over a 1/2 acre. It includes play structures and then like a smaller like tot play picnic table-ish area and many landscape spaces, open space, and a walking path. And there you go. The grass was very green that day. And then May Creek Park, which is kind of an interesting park because it's a natural space. It's not your traditional landscaped park there. It's a natural space, most well known for its trail. And it has many access points to it, so I just gave you the address for the May Creek Park Trailhead, which is one of the more well-known, visible, accessible trailheads. You can actually park there. When thinking about amenities, I think your main amenity there is your 3.5 mile trail. And it was the location, or the May Creek Park Trail, the main wide flat area was the featured in 2024 Pumpkins in the Park. And then on our next slide, some of the highlights of May Creek Park Trail. As you know, Planner Hutchins highlighted May Creek Park Trail last month as a trail of the month with this nifty little map. Some of the things that you see on the trail include our mail truck from undescript, debatable years. Some people say the 60s, others say it's the 80s. We've gotten it all. And then you can see the historic signage there for the May Creek trestle. Would you like to add anything, Brendan, about May Creek Park?
There are some benches along the park
Oh, there
as
you go.
well, so there's some spots to sit. So, a couple amenities on that front, but yeah, outside of that, it's just a nice walk, long walk.
Yeah. And then finally, oh, go ahead.
There aren't many cities where you can literally walk out your back door and be in such a beautiful, natural surroundings. Yeah.
And I'll also mention there's also access down to the May Creek as well. There's trails that you can kind of offshoot onto to get down to the creek as well if you wanted to see that. And there's also a portion on the east side that the main May Creek Trail hugs the creek as well. So, I mean, the whole trail is very, very scenic.
So you may have seen my See Click Fix request, because I had to talk to Jeff Brunn separately about it, but there is no trail sign when you walk to the intersection that you can go down to the water. You just kind of, don't tell anybody, it's a secret. So I know I put in can we add a sign stanchion right there, so.
Yeah, we have that's a proposed bollard location. So.
What's the brown area that's right in the middle of the park?
That's 95th. A current laydown yard, but a future park at 95th location.
Okay.
It's so there's a large valley. The creek runs through the valley there, so that's on the uphill side of the southern portion of the park.
And if
I
you
think it's pretty steep.
go to the next slide, we do have the park at 95th. So there's a picture of what it looks like there. And we don't have obviously anything really because it's a plan and development. But it is a property. Currently, I know the Public Works Department uses it for some of their snow clearing equipment because when I did my snow plow ride along, I get a chance to go down and see where it's all stored and how it's loaded into the trucks. It was pretty fun stuff. And it's a big, vast area, flat. And there are some trails in there as well. But yeah, TBD. So again, as you think about your work plan and things that you would like to do, we will be featuring the part 3. So another 4 parks, and then part 4, another 4 parks.
Thank you, Amy. And last on our agenda is utility box art. Ed, take it away.
Yeah, thank you. So in the city budget for this year, there is $3,000 for an art installation, and for the last, it's been the same amount for the last few years. And we have, the Arts Council has partnered with the city to install a utility box along Coal Creek Parkway, using those funds and additional funds provided by the Arts Council. And so I would like to ask for the recommendation of the council to recommend to the city staff that we spend the dollars this year on a similar project, which the Arts Council will partner with the City of Newcastle to both coordinate the effort, and then if the costs exceed the $3,000, the Arts Council would fund the difference. So just want to make sure there's no objections to that. Yeah, that's it.
Does the Arts Council have a thought of which utility box they would like to focus on next?
Yet to be determined, and I think some of that will depend on potential costs. But in all likelihood, it would be another one along Cold Lake Parkway. But open to discussion, for sure.
So if I understand correctly, you're saying the $3,000 is in the budget and anticipated, and it just would be the cost overruns would be held by the Arts Council, should there be any?
Correct.
Got it.
So you want our vote on, yes, we should move ahead, spend the money,
So yes, to make the recommendation that
make the
the city
recommendation? Yes.
allocate those funds to another utility box.
Do we need a motion, Amy, for that?
That's up to the commission as to whether or not you want to take a vote. You're not creating any policy or officially spending any money. It's up to you.
I think we should make the recommendation. I think you're getting unanimous nods.
Okay, perfect. So we'll
Yes.
move forward with that.
Thumbs up.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Do we have any additional comments? Okay. Next on our planning calendar, our next meeting is scheduled for May the 14th. Does anybody have anything else they would like to add? If not, I will officially adjourn this meeting at 7:21 PM.